You've probably noticed something weird about money lately. Your paycheck does the exact same thing it's always done. But somehow, groceries cost 40% more than they did 3 years ago. Your rent went up. Your car insurance went up for no real reason. And the only people who seem genuinely calm about any of this are the ones who already have money. That's not paranoia. That's just math. Having one income in 2026 is like having one set of car keys. It works until the day it doesn't, and then you're locked out of your own life. The video you're watching right now was made on a channel where there's no face on camera, no live speaker, and the channel didn't exist 18 months ago. The reason it didn't exist 18 months ago is that the tools to build it didn't really exist 18 months ago. AI quietly changed what one person at a kitchen table can produce after the kids go to bed, and almost nobody in our age bracket has noticed yet. My name is Nick. I spend an embarrassing amount of time thinking about money, specifically why so many of us are working harder than our parents did and ending up further behind. If you're somewhere in your 30s or 40s and you felt that quiet, creeping suspicion that one income just isn't going to cut it anymore, this is the video. And no, this isn't going to be one of those rented Lamborghini guru videos. I'm tired of those too. Let me describe the person watching this video, because I'm pretty sure I know who you are. You're somewhere between 32 and 48. You have a job, probably a fine one. You also have a mortgage or rent, a partner, maybe kids, maybe aging parents. You're not broke, but you're not building anything either. The math just disappears at the end of the month. And you've thought about doing something on the side. Of course you have. But every time you start looking into it, one of three things happens. It needs a skill you don't have time to learn. It needs capital you can't afford to risk. Or it needs you to become a 23-year-old extrovert with a ring light, which, no thank you. So you close the tab. You promise yourself you'll figure something out next year. And next year you do exactly the same thing. I'm not judging this. I did it for years. The reason it happens isn't that we're lazy. It's that almost every piece of side hustle advice on the internet is written for a completely different person than us. Freelancing is a second job. Dropshipping needs capital. Day trading is a casino with extra steps. DoorDash trades your time and your car for cash. And being on camera for a personal brand at our age with our lives is a personality transplant, not a side hustle. Every option asks you to become a different person before it pays you. None of them asks, what if you just stayed exactly who you are after work and built something quiet on the side? There's one model that almost everyone in our age bracket overlooks. The name of it sounds wrong at first. Faceless YouTube channels. I know. Stay with me. A faceless channel is exactly what it sounds like. A channel that produces videos without anyone ever appearing on camera. No face, no live speaker, no personal brand. The videos cover topics people are already searching for. They get views the same way any video gets views, and the platform pays the channel for those views. That's the whole mechanism. Topic video, views, income, and here's where the timing gets interesting. AI tools have, in roughly the last 18 months, taken what used to be the hardest parts of this, the writing, the voiceover, the visuals, the editing, and made them dramatically easier. Not push a button easy, I want to be honest, but easier in a way that didn't exist 3 years ago. Work that used to need a small team can now be assembled by one person in a few hours. And here's the line I want you to actually hear, because I think this is the moment that changes things if you've been watching skeptically. This video, the one you're watching right now, is the proof. There's no face, there's no live speaker. The visuals you're seeing were assembled, the voiceover was produced, and the whole thing was published using exactly the kind of system we're talking about. You're not being told faceless YouTube works, you're inside an example of it working. And I want to be clear about who I am, because you need this before we go further. I'm not a guru. I don't have a course empire. I'm a regular person who got tired of watching one income try to keep up with a two-income economy, and who went looking for something I could build on the side without becoming someone I'm not. This was my first faceless channel. It works. The reason it worked isn't that I'm special. I'm genuinely not. The reason it worked is that the model itself works, and I followed it. If I figured this out, you can figure this out. That's not a motivational poster. That's just true. I do not have a skill set you don't have. Okay, Let me deal with the 3 things you're actually thinking right now, not the polite ones, the real ones. Now, I know what you're probably thinking. This sounds too good to be true. It does sound like that at first. That instinct is healthy. That instinct is what's protected you from 100 bad pitches before this one. But here's the reframe. This isn't working because of magic. It's working because YouTube already pays for attention. That's been the published business model for nearly 2 decades. The only question is, who captures that attention and gets paid? Historically, that was a small number of on-camera creators. Now, with AI tools, that group has expanded to include people like us. People who don't want to be on camera, but who can identify topics and assemble videos. This is happening quietly, by the way. There's a layer of people in their 30s, 40s, even 50s running channels you've never heard of. They're not famous. They're not on Instagram. They have no incentive to advertise what they're doing. They're just operating channels and depositing checks. The signal is inverted. The loudest people online have the worst businesses. The quietest ones are the ones who actually figured it out. That's not too good to be true. It's a market shift that hasn't fully priced in yet. Those happen. They've happened in every generation of the internet. You might also be thinking, I don't really understand YouTube. I'm not a tech person. This one matters because it stops a lot of people. You don't need to understand YouTube the way a creator understands YouTube. You're not becoming a creator. You're not learning the algorithm so you can grow a personal brand. You're following a system that already exists. If you can follow a recipe, you can do this. I mean, that literally on the skill set is closer to following a step-by-step guide than it is to being an artist or a tech person. There's nothing creative or technical you have to invent. The framework is already there. You just execute it. This is significantly simpler than it looks from the outside. The outside looks intimidating because the people who already do it look intimidating. From the inside, it's just a sequence of small, boring, repeatable steps. And maybe you're also thinking, I'm too old, I'm too late, this boat has sailed. That's a real concern and probably the biggest one for a lot of people. More content is being consumed every year than the year before, not less. Demand for videos is going up, not down. There's more room, not less. And here's the part that matters specifically for you. Most of the people doing well in this space right now are not teenagers. Teenagers are on TikTok. The people building real businesses on faceless YouTube tend to be exactly our age. They're patient, they're consistent, they show up every week, they're not chasing virality, they're building. That's the temperament that wins on a platform like YouTube, and it happens to be the temperament you've already developed by being a functioning adult with responsibilities. You are not late, you are, if anything, on time. The people who think they're late are confusing YouTube with TikTok. They are not the same platform, and the demographics don't transfer. Before I tell you where this video goes from here, I want to be honest about the timeline because most marketing on this topic isn't. This is not instant. You will not make money in your first week. The first stretch is a quiet stretch where you're building, publishing, learning, and not yet getting paid. That's normal. That's how every digital asset works. It also doesn't work for everyone. People who quit at week 6 don't see this work. People who half pay attention to the system and skip steps don't see this work. But here's the flip side. Once it works, once you have a few videos that have caught, it compounds in a way that almost nothing else in your financial life compounds. The videos keep working. The channel keeps growing on its own momentum. The income line keeps moving up while the work line stays roughly flat. That's hard to explain to someone who's only ever experienced trading time for money. This is something else. So here's where we land. I know there's a gap between I get the concept and I actually know what to do on Monday morning. That's where most people quietly give up. So I built something simple to close that gap. It's a small community where I break this down properly. What to do first, what tools to use, the actual method I use to find topics that work instead of just guessing, how the videos themselves get assembled start to finish, and the specific things I've learned from running this channel that I'm not putting in a free YouTube video, because then the free YouTube video would be 3 hours long and nobody would watch it. It's not a course, it's not a $5,000 mastermind, it's not a webinar where I try to upsell you something more expensive at the end. The link is below. Membership is intentionally cheap, not because what's inside isn't valuable. It is, and if you actually use it, the price tag becomes laughable pretty quickly, but because the goal is for you to actually do this, not for me to build a course empire. If you want the playbook, it's there. If you don't, that's also fine. I'd rather you walk away from this video having calmly realized that one income isn't a plan anymore, and that there's at least one option that fits the life you actually have, than have you sign up for something you're not ready to use. Either way, take one income seriously as the risk that it now is, and go figure out your second one. I'll see you in the next one.